pep rally, but one, you were, pretty good group, pretty quiet, and actually did your work, so I appreciate that. So I thought since I wasn't here Friday, to do the ticket drawing, we would do one today, and then we would do one, we'll still do one at the end of this week. So, the ticket winner
Hold up, wait.
for last Friday.
The ones that you gave us, so they say.
Yeah. The ticket winner
Please.
for last Friday.
That's 7th
Oh.
period.
It is. I'm glad you noticed that. This is is, who could it be?
They're gonna be me.
It could be mine.
That's Kane.
Oh, if it's Caden, he's not here, right? Okay. Kim! Kim! Again!
This ain't. That's you.
Kim! That means she's got lots of tickets in here.
Well, I
She's
could
done
really
lots of
use
good
those
things.
too.
So Kim, come pick you a prize. I think there's some gum hiding in there too if you want. Oh, cookies. I like the
Thank you.
cookies. Alright, you
Yeah, I
are
like
very
cookies,
welcome. Okay, so the next thing I wanna do, just because we're gonna start off on a positive note, we're gonna keep everything going good. Good things. So, who's got a
Yeah.
good thing? James, what's your good thing? You know what, you lost his good thing. Shiloh, what's your good thing?
I get to see my grandma this weekend.
You get to see your grandma this weekend. I always loved going to see my grandma.
Yay.
My grandma used to have, like, whenever I was a little spoiled, but whenever I would go to her house, she always had Oreos and grapes for me. So I do the same thing for my grandkids. Like, Aiden loves chocolate, so he's got a jar of Hershey Kisses and he knows where that is.
Yeah, my grandma just likes to talk about conspiracy theories.
Oh, well, okay. Conspiracy theories, that's a good thing. Dakota, what's your good
I get
thing?
to go to my best friend's birthday this weekend.
Best
Yay.
friend's birthday party. Woo!
Yeah,
That'll be
thanks.
fun. That's a good one. James, what's your good thing?
Oh, the new season of Fortnite came out.
The new season of Fortnite came out. That's a happy day.
I already caught a dub.
You
In
already
Fortnite.
caught a dub in
Yeah.
Fortnite.
3
That's a
of them.
happy thing. Okay. Okay, that's something I need to check into. Maddie,
I'm having my birthday party.
birthday party this weekend. Do I get to come? Yeah? Do I get cake? Yeah. All right, Maddie's birthday party's this weekend. Now, look at, we just told everybody
It's
here.
your birthday?
to show. Well, no, she's just having a party.
No, but like.
My
when's the
birthday's
actual-
on a Tuesday next week.
So you gotta have a
That's
party
why I
on the
didn't know,
weekend.
see?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so back to functions. I've got the learning targets tracking sheet for you. So what I wanna do right now, I just wanna give you this tracking sheet. A couple of them we started yesterday. And then we're gonna do a couple more today. So I just want you to take a minute, look at the tracking sheet, kind of rank where you're at. If you come to a learning target that you do not know what it is, don't write anything there yet. We just haven't come to it. But the first couple, we did do yesterday. Just kind of, if you don't remember what it is, then you still need some help with it.
Thank you.
Don't put it away, you're welcome. Don't put it away when you're done, because we're gonna come back to it at the end of this lesson, because we've got 2 new targets we're gonna look at. So just take a minute, kind of rank yourself on those first 3. You could probably do number 3 too. Do you remember what the independent variable is? Do you remember what the dependent variable is? Do you remember how to determine if something's a function? Just rank where you're at with it. Once you've got it done, put it back in your book, and then open your book to page 139. Just somewhere in your book. You're gonna pull it out here in just a minute. Okay, so page 139, the 2 learning targets we're gonna focus on today, I have them on the sideboard. I can use function notation to describe a function's input and corresponding output. I can interpret statements that use function notation in terms terms of context. That's all we're doing today. That's all we're doing today, so by the end of this lesson, you should be able to rank something on that learning targets paper. So, in your book, page 139, back to the post. It says, here are the graphs of some situations you saw before. Each graph represents the distance of a dog from a post as a function of time since the dog owner left to purchase something from a store. Distance is measured in feet and time is measured in seconds. You've got the three graphs. These are the graphs we looked at yesterday. We've got day 1, day 2, day 3. Question number 1 says, use the given graphs to answer these questions about each of the 3 days. So you're going to look at A, B, C, and D. You're going to read the situation. You're going to use those 3 graphs to answer about day 1, day 2, day 3. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. No talk time. You're doing this part on your own. Go. Alexa, put 2 minutes on the timer.
2 minutes, starting now.
Tell me how far away it was in day 1. How far away was it in day 2? Yes. Okay. How far away it was at day 1? How far away it was at day 1? How far away it was at day 2? How far away it was at day 3? Okay, so on day 1, 60 seconds after he left, the dog was 4 feet. That's what you write there. And then do the same thing for day 2, day 3. Alexa, stop. Do we need another like 30 seconds? Yeah, okay. Wrap it up. Then you write that down for each one. It might not always be the same. You're looking at different situations. I mean, in this case, that one happened to be.
Can you start first?
No, thank you. Okay, so now what I want you to do, I'm gonna give you 1 minute. You're gonna talk with your partner, you're gonna compare your answers, and if you don't agree on one of the answers, why? Why did you get what you got? Why did your partner get what you got? So 1 minute, I should hear you discussing this. Go. Alexa, put 1 minute on the timer.
I didn't get one.
Dude, do you see a video?
Oh no, that line is going. Flat line. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. So this is how, yeah, Now let's discuss this together. So, problem A, how far away was the dog from the post 60 seconds after the owner left? And we need to look at all 3 days. On day 1, how far away was it?
About
4
feet.
About 4 feet. 60 seconds, dog's at 4 feet.
So,
What about day 2 and day 3?
oh,
4 feet on both of those days. So all 3 of those, that dog was 4 feet away at 60 seconds. Problem B, how far away was the dog from the post when the owner left?
1.5.
Yeah, how much time went by when the owner left? None. It's 0. That's the starting point. So all 3 days it shows us in each of those graphs that dog was 1.5 feet away from the post. Now we get a little different. Problem C, the owner returned 160 seconds after he left. How far away was the dog? So on day 1, what did you say?
3.8.
3.8. It's not 5, but it's more than 3.5.
Yeah.
So somewhere between 3.7, 3.9. What about day 2?
4.
Right at 4.
Yeah.
That's the day the dog laid down. And then what about day 3?
Half.
oh.
Remember what happened on day 3?
Walked around until.
Walked around and wrapped its leash around it,
I
so
did
it was
not
like
write-
half a foot away from the post.
I did not see that straight line.
Well,
But it sucked.
I know, and Aiden didn't either in his book. That straight line's really faint.
Yeah, I did not see
It
that.
did kind of look like, but on day 2, I didn't realize that in your book that the line, it's kind of hard to see that line. But it was from yesterday. I mean, and some people also remembered that's the day that the dog laid down. So I should have, and even on mine, I mean, you can see it's green, but I guess it's kind of hard to see. So yeah, that's my bad. Okay, problem D. How many seconds passed before the dog reached the furthest point it could reach from the post? On day 1, what's the farthest it could go? Who remembers? Yesterday, 5 feet. That leash was 5 feet long. So on day 1, it reached 5 feet at about
50 seconds.
50 seconds, somewhere around there, close to 50.
I was close.
What about day 2?
48,
38.
38.
So day 2, it's a little more than halfway. Halfway would be 35, or would be 30. It's a little bit more than that, so 32, 33. And all you gotta do is say about. It's a graph. We can't say exactly. That would be good.
But I really
I would take that.
I accidentally put my.
And then what about day 3? Yeah, that was the day the dog followed the owner, and it was like 2 or 3 seconds. It just ran right after it. So I would put anything lower than 5, I would take. Okay, so now let's look at problem number 2, next page. It says, consider the statement. The dog was 2 feet away from the post after 80 seconds. Do you agree with this statement? Look back at the 3 graphs. The dog was 2 feet away after 80 seconds.
No.
No.
Absolutely no.
Not every day. On day.
Wait a minute, what?
On day 3.
On day 3, yeah.
That's
But it doesn't say that. Can we answer this question? No. It depends on what day they're talking about, and that's all we write down. I can't answer this question because it depends on what day you're talking about. Yeah. Can't answer this question, it depends on what day. So question number 3, what was the distance of the dog from the post 100 seconds after the owner left?
Can't answer either.
Depends on the day. They have to give me some more information. They have to get more specific. And this is where function notation comes in. When we have a math problem, when we have any problem, a situation, where we've got multiple outputs, we can use function notation to help us describe the situation and what we're looking for. So before we go to 2.2 where it says a handy notation, I want you to copy this in your book. Copy this in your book, what I've got up on the board, just like I've got it up on the board, anywhere on that page. Yeah.
Anywhere on 140?
Or the top of the next page, either one, just somewhere where you can see it.
All of
Are we gonna
All
do
of
this
it.
part?
Yep. But it's only gonna take up a little space, it won't take up too much space, we're right in here, you'll have room. Yeah.
I gotta put that little line there.
As close as you can get it. So this that I have inside the box, this is called function notation. And the way we read this is f of x. So when I've got f parentheses x, we just read it f of x. Probably the most confusing part of this for math students is this right here. It's just the name of the function. It's just the name of the function. We're not solving for it. It doesn't represent anything other than the name of the function. It's not a variable. Okay? Whatever's in the parentheses is the input. It's the independent variable. It's what we're going to put into the function so we can get the output, which is the y. The independent goes into the parentheses. The dependent is what the whole thing represents and what it equals. Okay? So we're going to write some things in function notation just to get you started. Where it says a handy notation. Before we go back, let's review something. What does it take for something to be a function? For something to be a function, it can only have one output. That dog cannot be in two places at the same time.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That function can only have one output. Otherwise, it's not a function. So, it says here in your book, this is under 2.2, let's name the functions that relate the dog's distance from the post and the time since its owner left. We're gonna name function F, day 1. Function G, day 2. Function H, day 3. The input of each function is time in seconds. So we're gonna use function notation to complete the table. We're not solving it. We're not finding out where the dog is, we're just writing that part in function notation. So part A says, distance from post 60 seconds after the owner left. I'm gonna label day 1. What function name did they tell me to give day 1? F. So they said to name day 1 F of, and then I need to put the input in the parentheses. What's the input?
T. 10 seconds.
Right here. Distance from post 60 seconds after the owner left. What's the input?
60.
60. Input 4 is my output. Remember, your input is almost always going to be some sort of time. So 4 is what I get out of it, but I don't want that yet. I just want the input. So F of 60 after the owner left. So now I gotta do function notation for day 2. What function name did they tell me to give day 2? G. So G of 60. And then day 3, H of 60. That's it. That's all we're doing. We'll get to outputs later. Right now we're just focused on the inputs. So let's look at B. Distance from post when the owner left. So what time is it when the owner left?
0 seconds.
0 seconds. So day 1 would be F of 0. Day 2 would be
G of 0.
G of 0. And day 3 would be
H of 0.
H of 0. We're getting this. Now, C says the distance from post 150 seconds after the owner left. What would day 1 be?
F of 150.
F of 150. Day 2 would be
G of 150.
G of 150. And day 3 would be
H of 150.
H of 150. There you go. Got it. Are we good so far? All we did was name the function. We named the function, put the input in. Okay. If you usually go with Mr. Barnett, I need you to go with Mr. Barnett right now. So now we're gonna just do the opposite. We're going to take, they give us function notation, and we're going to describe it. We're gonna write it in words. What? I don't know. I missed something. Okay, so problem number 2, part A, F of 15. What did the F stand for?
Day 1.
So on day 1, this is what we're writing. On day 1, what's the 15 represent?
Second.
On day 1, 15 seconds after the owner left. That's it. So now you interpret B and C. Write down what B and C represent. After the owner left. Now do B and C. So what did G represent? Okay, so on day 2. Yeah, there you go. So I just want you to take 30 seconds. Compare what you wrote down with what your neighbor wrote down. On day 2. Yes, G was on day 2. Or day 2, yeah, I got it. 48 seconds after the owner left. What about C? I would just
You
put
just
T.
worded it differently.
On day 3, T
Except for the
seconds
last one,
after
you
the
need to
owner
word
left.
it.
Okay, so for problem B, G was which day? So on day 2, 48 seconds after the owner left. And then problem C,
Day 3.
day 3, T seconds after the owner left. That's it. Now let's throw in the output. So question number 3 says, the equation G of 120 equals 4 can be interpreted to mean on day 2, 120 seconds after the dog owner left, the dog was 4 feet from the post. we get that whole statement from just this little notation. It's kinda like sending a text message instead of sending a full statement. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when I text my dad, he doesn't do the little messages. You gotta type out the whole thing for him, because he don't get it. He doesn't get what a smiley face stands for, just that you're happy or you're smiling. So we gotta do the whole, oh, LOL would blow his mind, so you gotta, but we can do just a little short function notation. So, let's look at part A. What did the H stand for?
Day 3.
So on day 3, this is what you're writing. On day 3, what was the 40? On day 3, 40 seconds after the owner left, the dog was 4.6 feet away from the post. That's the whole statement you're writing. That's what just this little piece here represents. So now write the statements for B and C.
Where? Oh. Dang it, I put my output in.
It's okay, just get it around there somewhere, yeah, I knew somebody would.
Come on, Lord. The owner was.
So part B, what did the F stand for?
Day 1.
So on the first day, on day 1. What does T mean?
0. Or,
Seconds. So on the first day, T seconds after the owner left, the dog was 5 feet away.
That's what I was gonna put, but I did not.
Problem C, G stands for,
Day 3. Or 2.
so on day 2,
T seconds.
T seconds after the owner left,
Was D feet away from
the dog was D feet away from the post. Getting a little easier?
You see what I read?
What'd you write?
last 2 days before my birthday.
So, how about we have a little fun?
Yay, finally.
Finally, yes.
Fun school.
Alright, let's go to same page, 141, 2.3 where it says birthdays. You have 2 tables on this page. Rule B is the first table. Rule P is the second table. Rule P says the input is the name, the output is their birthday. The example they give us is Abraham Lincoln. Output, his birthday is February 12th. Right underneath Abraham Lincoln, I want you to write your name. And for your output, I want you to put your birthday. Oops, I don't even know my birthday.
Getting a little old.
I'm getting a little old. Now, on the next table, they just switched it. The input is the birthday, the output is the person.
It's not.
But now we need to fill in the table, and I don't wanna keep using your name. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more birthdays that we need to find. So what I'm gonna do, everybody stand up. Get your book. You have 2 minutes to get with 5 more people and fill in your chart with their birthdays.
So I wanna
Go.
make this one.
14.
Alexis, put 2 minutes on your timer.
I already know that. August 4th. August 4th.
Well, you don't have to, as long as you got me named.
28th of August.
November?
You don't have to have last name.
On
You
the
don't
first
mind?
table or second one?
What's yours, Elizabeth? What's yours again?
August what? 28th. What's yours? May 15th.
Henry Rosa. Wait, what is it again?
Hey, cuz, what you trying to do?
Wait, when, you're May 15th, right?
Dan's already wrote your.
What was yours again?
Alright, got it. Wait, do I have to fill in both tables?
Both tables, you gotta get 5 more people.
January. Hey, when's your birthday?
You can just do
November
it on
15th.
TTY.
What's yours? June 14th. When's your birthday?
Now, once you get all 5 filled in, go back to your seat and sit down, so I know you're done.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
Dude,
When's your
Mike,
birthday?
when's your birthday?
The 29th of
January 29th.
When's your birthday?
How you spell your name, Mike?
December 24th.
Mike, how you spell your name?
What? I'm done. I got it.
Have a seat.
Wait,
Have
Mike.
a seat when you're done. Have a seat when you're done.
What's this? You should.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Anna, what's your birthday?
Get some.
Abby, when's yours? April 7th.
You get from me this time. I need to see you all the time.
I'm gonna have to fill in multiple things, so I did.
Alexa, stop. Okay, have a seat once you're finished.
What's your birthday?
So everybody has both tables filled out?
Yeah.
So now you have 5 people that you know their birthdays, and you are now obligated to tell them happy birthday on their birthday for life, because now you know it, you've been told it. It's information you now have. Yours is not today. Christmas Eve. So everybody on Christmas Eve in this class
So did you?
has to tell Jimmy happy birthday.
Or text me because we probably won't be in school.
Well, or show up at his house.
Oh,
Show up at his house,
I'll be there.
Christmas
Every
Eve.
single one of them.
5:30 or 5, or, yeah, we could do it in the morning, 5 in the morning, show up at his house, tell him happy birthday.
Like,
Okay, so let's look at the questions underneath those 2 tables.
Put Miss D on there.
Yeah, you got my birthday's there. You are now obligated every August 1st.
I'm
Your
blind.
birthday is
I'm
the same as my
I'm
Nana's.
good.
You better figure out a way. You better figure out a way.
Miss Duncan.
It's up to
What's
you
your
now.
address? Your birthday is the same as my Nana's, and my birthday's 3 days after yours.
There you go, see, you know that now.
August 4th.
13 days.
Mine's August 28th.
Ours is 29, that's the 8th.
Okay, back to the problem. Question number 1, complete each table with 3 more examples, we just did that. Question number 2, if you use your name as the input to B, right here, how many outputs are possible?
1.
1. You've only got 1 birthday.
Oh no.
So write that down for number 2.
Good. 1 output.
Question number 3. If you use your birthday as the input for table P, how many outputs are possible?
One.
Oh, Nicholas had that birthday.
Yeah, if I
Oh,
put,
yeah, okay.
if I
Oh.
put in August 26th, there's more than Catherine Johnson who has a birthday that day.
So, what do we?
Multiple.
Unlimited?
Unlimited. Multiple. There's lots of birthdays that day. There's lots of possible outputs.
Unlimited.
So question number 4.
What do you mean?
Only one of the 2 relationships is a function, the other is not.
Probably not.
Which one is the function?
B.
B. This is the only one that has only 1 output. B is the function. Rule P is still accurate, it's just not a function. Now, question number 5. For the relationship that is a function, write 2 input-output pairs from the table using function notation. So let's start with the first one they give us, Abraham Lincoln. So it's rule B, so we're gonna name it function B. B of February 12th.
Oh, I'm gone.
Now, right below Abraham Lincoln, you put your name and your birthday. So write it in function notation.
Okay, so B,
B of your initials equals your birthday.
I'm a goat.
You are a goat. You are a goat. In more ways than one. You are a goat. Alright, before we go to the cool down, actually, no, after you do the cool down, go to Google Classroom, get your cool down open. After you answer the cool down, go to your learning targets and rate yourself now. How well do you feel I can use function notation to describe a function's input and corresponding output? How do you feel about interpreting statements that use function notation in terms of context? When you finish the cool down, be sure you submit it. I'll check where you're at individually. You tell me where you feel you are on the learning targets paper.
Okay. When are you putting that, pull down information? Are you putting that in there?
It'll probably be later today.
Okay.
Okay.
I still haven't submitted it.
Oh, okay.
That's on the-
Yeah, get it submitted today. But get today's done first. Get today's school down finished. If you need to use your book for help.
The other one.
Remember, the Q is just the name of the function. Q is just the name of the function.